This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Razer Blade 15 Advanced. Again, we've reviewed this a couple of different times. Well, this is the latest iteration for mid-2019. Obviously, this is the Mercury White edition, which is kind of like a very pale silver, really. This is the one that's chill if you go into the office and you feel like the one that's black with the green Razer logo on the lid is a little too much for you. But anyway, what's interesting here is we have Intel 9th generation CPU inside, and we have the new 240 Hz IPS display. We're going to look at it now. So as always, Razer Blade 15 models, particularly the advanced, are expensive, or you can call them boutique or aspirational or any other number of adjectives that imply that it's an expensive machine. But at least it's a high quality machine. It's not cheesy looking the way some gaming laptops are. It's got a unibody metal construction. It's available in your choice of, well, this Mercury silver or the usual black with the green Razer logo, which is still, I admit, my favorite because it's still chill enough looking, but it's nice looking. At least this one doesn't show fingerprints though. Anyway, besides that stuff, you get the latest Intel 9th generation 6-core i7-9750H CPU, 2 RAM slots, DDR4 2666 megahertz RAM, 16 gigs is standard. You have a fast PCIe NVMe 4-lane SSD, and they're generally using Samsung PM980 which are the fastest on the block. You have a choice of a bunch of different GPUs, and you can watch my previous Razer Blades to see even more information about it, but you've got the NVIDIA RTX 2060, you have the RTX 2070 Max-Q, which is an R model, and there's an RTX 2080 Max-Q. RGB per key chroma backlighting on the keyboard, the Razer Synapse software, you can control the refresh rate of the display, Microsoft Precision trackpad, very low travel keyboard. That's still one thing I'm just not loving about the Razer Blade. It's not got a lot of travel or tactile feel on it. Can't have everything. So with the displays on this, they have a lot of options now. The base advanced model is still the full HD matte non-touch IPS 144 Hz refresh display, LG panel, and it's a very lovely display. But just in case you're from planet Krypton and you have super light speed eyes and you have the greatest reflexes in the world for playing things like Apex Legends and you really need that refresh rate, you can get this new 240 Hz IPS matte display non-touch as well. And then there's the 4K full Adobe RGB display that they've been offering for a while, and there's a touch screen 4K options are glossy. So a lot of different things to pick there. Maybe we'll be reviewing the OLED, we'll see. So far the OLED panel that's been used in a lot of, not a lot, but of all the OLED laptops available in 2019, they're all using the same panel, but Razer calibrates their panels from the factory, which can make all the difference to make their OLED a little bit better, because so far they haven't been very color accurate in the competing models like the Alienware M15 that we looked at. All right, let's talk about our 240 Hz display. It's clearly overkill. I mean, really, how many games are going to run, especially if you like to run at high quality settings, at 240 frames per second? But hey, it's there. Me, I'm pretty happy with 144 Hz, but yeah. It is a very nice panel. You can see the specs on screen right now. It's a sharp display. And again, color calibration is very nice from the factory. When you look at the color accuracy graph where lower bars are better, it's like most IPS displays where the blues are a little higher than everything else, but they've done a good job with that. The white point is very high on it, but still it ends up calibrating and looking very good on this stuff. It's a nice display. It's overkill. It's marketing. It's a thing for 2019. Do you need it? I don't know. Probably not. Razer's doing some weird things right now with, you can get one from column A, but only if you get 2 from column C, so to speak. So if you want this display, you're going to have to go with the NVIDIA RTX 2070 Max-Q right now to get the 240 Hz and the 9th gen CPU. And if you want the OLED display, you have to go with the RTX 2080 Max-Q. I don't know. And this could change in the future, you know, as they mix and match and all that sort of thing. Graphics are the same as the other Razer Blades we reviewed. It's right where you would expect. These are the Max-Q editions, but they do run the voltages pretty good on these, and they are still doing a little power limit throttling on this. That means it limits the amount of power that the CPU can grab. It doesn't do thermal throttling. In fact, the temperatures on this are very good. They're the best I have seen yet. I mean, playing Battlefield 5 with DLSS turn on, DirectX 12, all the bells and whistles, and and the core temperatures are like in the mid-80s without repasting or anything. That vapor chamber cooling and those 9th gen CPUs are really working out. Now, in terms of performance, there's not a whole lot of difference between the 8th and 9th gen 45-watt H series CPU. The base clock speed and the turbo boost go off 400 megahertz from the previous generation, which makes a little bit of a difference, but not a huge amount. So, you know, if you have an 8th gen, don't buy a 9th gen just because you want a lot more performance. That's not what this refresh is about, that's for sure. And it's still in the Coffee Lake family of processors. One thing that does come with this new processor platform, though, is Intel's new Wi-Fi 6 cards. It's the AX200 card. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to need a fast router to go with your fast Wi-Fi card, but hey, it's nice to have forward-looking Wi-Fi, and it is indeed fast. Surface temperatures, as ever, are pretty good for something that's a very thin and light metal chassis. It will get hot on the bottom when you're gaming. It will not get so hot as to harm you, which is, with a thin, light gaming laptop, about as much as you can hope for. It's not bad, but it's a good hand warmer in the winter, let's put it that way, when you're gaming. If you're just doing productivity work or even a little video editing, it won't be nearly as hot. But yeah, when doing something like Adobe Premiere, for example, it was a little bit above body temperature, human body temperature, which means it's just going to feel a little warm. So that's pretty good. Again, they really do a good job with the cooling on this. And the SSD temps are good. They've taken care of that long ago. And the performance is where you would expect it to be for a 6-core machine with this level of graphics inside. Again, it's the Max-Q version. I know some of you are really Max-Q haters, but it does allow for better thermals and better acoustics thus too, because you don't hear the fans roaring on this, even when playing the most demanding games like playing Battlefield 5 as I was, and playing Apex Legends on high settings. It's not going to drown out your game audio even, which is pretty darn good. In fact, it's not even annoying the fans. It's well done. The ports on this are the same as ever, not changed. So you've got your Thunderbolt 3, full 4-lane, works with the Razer Core, and does display out using the NVIDIA GPU. So if you want to game and you want to get, obviously, dedicated graphics when you're gaming, you can go ahead and use that Thunderbolt 3 port. We have HDMI 2.0B. We have DisplayPort 1.4. We have 3 USB-A 3.2 ports as well. Of course, a headphone jack on board. So yeah, you're pretty well taken care of there. No Ethernet, though, not on this model. Sorry. Battery is the same too, 80 watt-hour, and they always give you an ample power brick, so you're not going to have it discharge while it's plugged in and gaming, which is a good thing. And it really depends on what you do with it. It's a gaming laptop, obviously. If you use it for gaming, you probably do just want to plug it in for best performance as well. But say you're on the road, you're using it for productivity, you're streaming video, you're doing a little bit of Premiere, you're doing a little bit of Photoshop. Depends how much of that Premiere you're doing and how much of that Photoshop, but mostly Premiere is what will eat the battery. But for productivity and light use, 150 nits of brightness is about a 6-hour laptop. If you're doing a lot of Premiere, you might go down to 4.5 or 5 hours, because that's pretty demanding stuff. When you compare this to the competition, the Asus ROG Zephyrus model that competes with the MSI Stealth Thin, those sort of laptops, what you get here is that classier look and that classier kind of chassis. You get very good thermals and you get a whole lot of display options. And one of the brightest RGB keyboards I have ever seen. In fact, it's almost eye-staringly bright. Thank goodness you can drop down the brightness. 2 complaints that I have. I always notice the PWM on the keyboard when it's at its higher brightness level settings. I wish I would find some way to deal with that problem. And if you go with this Mercury White edition, if you're in middling light, you might want to turn the backlight off, because the contrast with a lot of the available colors, you know, they're little typical LED pastel-y light colors. There's not much color contrast there, but you can set it any way you want. You can set it to be darker range colors so that you have more keyboard contrast. As ever, same as the last time I looked at the Blade, very easy to take the bottom off, unscrew the Torx T5 screws. None of them are hidden. I like that we have these tall rubber feet here. Helps allow for a little ventilation underneath. Pro tip, do not play games while resting this on a bed or something like that. You'll strangle the ventilation. We take off our metal bottom cover, and here we have very large vapor chamber cooling and copper heatsink action going on. Boy, that's some large stuff right there. Here's our 2 RAM slots, and just as always, we have the display cable routing through over here, so you're going to have to gently just lift it up a little bit if you want to get to the RAM slots. It's not too hard to do there. And we have our M.2 NVMe SSD right over here. Stereo speakers, which are pretty darn good sounding these days. When they moved up from the GTX to the RTX, I'd say that the speakers got a little bit louder and a little bit fuller sounding. So good stuff there. And here is our socketed Wi-Fi card. So yes, there are things you can upgrade and service if you need to. And down here, the battery. So that's the Razer Blade 15 Advanced in Mercury White with a 240 Hz display. As always, this is one of my favorite thin and light boutique level gaming laptops. It is expensive, but you do get a gorgeous unibody design, rivals MacBook Pros out there. Very good performance, and my goodness, a lot of very nice display options. The thermals on this are surprisingly good. Razer has done a good job with that vapor chamber cooling, and that continues on. And the Intel 9th generation CPUs are clearly not any hotter. If anything, maybe they're a little bit cooler than the 8th gen ones. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.